The city of Troy in Rensselaer County is home to just under 50,000 people. That's more than a third of the population of the entire county. During New York's early voting period that runs from October 26th through November 3rd, there will not be a polling place in Troy. In the late 19th century into the early 20th, Troy was one of the largest cities in the country. With 75,000 people, the collar city was booming with industry and brimming with wealth. Today, 26% of Troy lives below the poverty line. The majority of the county's minority and student voters reside in the city. Those facts have Democratic City Council member David Bisember questioning the county's decision not to put an early voting place there.
72% of the population of the entire county who does not have access to a personal vehicle reside in the city of Troy. And so when you establish voting sites outside of the city of Troy, that means a lot of the people who this law was intended to help support will not have easy access to the polls because they rely on public transportation, buses, and it's disproportionately impacting residents who are most likely to need early voting access.
The Rensselaer County Board of Elections chose 2 sites for its early polling places in May, and both were outside city limits and largely inaccessible by public transportation. In response, David Bisember led a bipartisan push backed by the City Council to get a polling place in Troy.
It was really something that we all worked on together to introduce a piece of legislation which initially would cover half the costs to establish a voting site in the city of Troy. That was our first piece of legislation, which we passed in a bipartisan effort and was supported by the administration as well.
But the Republican-dominated county legislature voted down 3 of the city council's appeals. Jason Schofield is the Republican commissioner for the County Board of Elections. He says the polling place choice came down to availability and accessibility.
Well, the county office building is a great spot. However, it's got the motor vehicle department, the aging department, the one-stop unemployment center, which people from all counties come to use. So parking can get very difficult there, as well as spacing. We use it on election day, but the county building's closed. So then we talked about, well, we want to be in this area of the county. How about the next town over was Brunswick? Then we could accommodate the people of Troy, Brunswick, Pittstown, Schaghticoke, Berlin, Hoosick, Grafton, and Petersburg.
Schofield says while the county is prepared for early voting, they do not know what to expect with turnout.
I think a lot of people are creatures of habit. And a lot of people I've talked to in Troy, they're going to vote on election day because that's what they've always done and what they know how to do. So it'll be interesting to see.
Lawmakers approved early voting this year after Governor Andrew Cuomo pushed for it in his budget proposal.
Let's pass a democracy agenda, talk about voter disenfranchisement.
It hasn't been an easy initiation. Counties across the state have had issues leading up to the early voting period. Some counties, like Albany, have had to limit the number of polling places they offer due to the fact that their polling records are still on paper and can't easily be transferred between polling sites. New York City residents voiced concern over potential security risks associated with placing a polling place at a school during a school day. Many large rural counties struggled to find a polling place that was within a reasonable distance for all residents, and some counties blamed the difficulty on the late payment of the promised $10 million from the state to help cover the costs. Democratic State Senator Neil Breslin represents Troy.
I was very excited to be a co-sponsor.
Breslin has introduced legislation that would require counties to place at least one of its early polling places in the county's most populous municipality.
It does not enhance democracy by preventing certain groups of people from voting.
That would require the Rensselaer County Board of Elections to put early voting polling places in Troy. What do you hope happens for next year?
I want more people voting, more people participating, and I want them to look at legislation and saying, yes, we've risen to this level, but we can still do more and look for other ways to increase voting.
For now, Democratic Troy City Council member Anasha Cummings is concerned with getting voters access to the early voting sites. He's organizing a group of volunteers to drive people to the polls in Schodack and Brunswick throughout the early voting period.
Every time we talk to people at the doors, we ask them whether they are interested in voting early, and if they are, we've got a group of volunteers that have cars or vans and are able to drive people out to the closest polling location, which would be a 15-minute drive out Hoosick Street. But we'll make it fun, hang out together in the car and go vote.
City Council President Carmela Mantello, who's a Republican, also supports an early voting site in Troy.
For me, personally, I'm going to vote on November 5th for the mere fact that I want to vote in Troy. And I don't want to go to Brunswick or go to Schodack to early vote.
Meanwhile, Anasha Cummings plans to be the first in line to vote early.
Absolutely will vote. I'll probably vote the first day.
New York's first foray into early voting has been far from smooth. Whether the state and counties can iron out the issues in time for the 2020 election, when voting rights will likely be a big issue, remains to be seen.